Alright, hello, hello. Welcome to the monthly art stream. It's a little bit late, but it's still within the month, so you got a case of the cats. Hello there, Hendrix. Okay, so we have the video up here where I crunched down the hours spent on this project to just the 2 hours about for this stream. God, I forget. I forget if it took 4 hours or 6. I think it took 6 hours total to do this. I think it was either 4 or 6. So that's kind of a big jump, 2 hours. But why are you painting again? Oh yeah, no. This is just, we're gonna like go through the process of it. Didn't I already get my pick? Yes, this is for those of you interested in how I made the image without having to go through it in real time. We're gonna just go through it with it sped up. So with this one, I kind of learned from the months prior, where I kind of went through my notes and I wrote them all down on the document, and I kind of was like hashing notes out. That was clunky and awkward, and I had borrowed that method from, or I was trying out that method based on some of the artists that I'm interested in. And I'm looking at different artist techniques, and I'm kind of like going like, what works for me, what doesn't. That one just didn't really work out, though I think it's really important to have your notes nearby and to be able to like go through them. Sometimes I might make checklists or make extra notes for myself. But as it was, the stuff that I had gotten from you, Hendrix, was more than enough to go off of. So I put that in a notepad, and I had that right there by me the entire time over on the other monitor. So I think I really like this. It helps keep you mindful. I'm going to start the video now. And it's a good technique. I just wanted something a little bit more out of the way for me so I could focus on the artwork rather than having that as a layer that I turn off. So here I'm trying out the Design Doll program that I have that I never use. I was like, you know what? I wanna try to do this where I make a pose, and I do the art based on that pose. And I was trying to think about like time constraints wise. I ended up just throwing it in the document rather than putting that pose on the side and drawing it by hand. And this is just a rough approximation of kind of what I had in my head, because I did some brainstorming in my head before I started this. And I was like, okay, I think I know what would look really cool. So I threw up Design Doll. I don't even know how to change the doll into more realistic proportions. I'm like, okay, anime dude, go. So I threw that in, and then I start editing that rough position and the proportions of it and moving things around to make more sense. Because I knew from the get-go that I wanted him to be carrying the pot of stew, but I wasn't gonna play around with the 3D model to like try to get the hands just right. I'm like, we're getting the rough down, and then we're gonna go in and we're gonna make it a halfling. So you can see here where I'm just doing a lot of free transform stuff. And I think this method, I think this was faster than going through with drawing it by hand, and then constantly tweaking from there, because I take a lot more time doing it that way. And that's just like my own personal problem of I need to do a lot more sketchbook stuff so that I can draw things more efficiently from scratch. So that's something I'm working on too. I have that on my list to buy things. I need to buy a new sketchbook because my current one is just filled with like all these notes and stuff. It became my notebook. I need to have like strictly a notebook and a sketchbook, obviously, because I can't just combine the two. And I actually have a spare sketchbook, but it's horrible quality paper, so I can't even use it. I think it was actually a gift to me. Someone was like, hey, you're an artist, here's a sketchbook. I'm like, yay, thank you, these are always useful. And then it turned out to be like really a cheap sketchbook from probably some random store. I mean, don't get me wrong, like even Walmart, I get my sketchbooks from Walmart sometimes because they actually have good ones, but you have to check the paper. Just gotta check the paper. I have a sketchbook where I do notes in it too. Mine, like, I've put notes in my sketchbook in the past, but they've always been related to my art stuff and my creative endeavors. In recent years, I kind of started carrying around and using it as like scratch pad paper for notes on like work. And I just realized for me personally, I need to separate the two. So I have like a nice place in my book that I do my drawings in. And I don't like turn the page and see, hey, this, you gotta do these things with this website and stuff. 10 minutes later, I'm like, damn it, this is my sketchbook. Right? You need to just have like your own perfect little Zen art spot. My current technique is to simply not put down notes. I won't look at them again anyways. That's another thing, like, you put down those notes, and it's just like, half the time I remember them anyway, because they were just like quick notes from when I was out and about, that when I go home I organize them. I have a problem with like lots of little pieces of paper. I've gotten better at it, but like lots of little pieces of paper floating around where I try to condense the notes on each project, but I keep them on like their own small piece of paper, so I just end up with lots of loose paper around. It's bad. But yeah. So anyway, I'm working on it. I'm trying to make my workflow better. So here I'm just kind of like filling in the color really roughly of like the lights and darks to still keep this rough positioning straight in my head. Because it's all about just getting the position down as quickly as possible for me. So then I can draw out the body and then, you know, stylize the face and add all the clothing and stuff. And I think I'm gonna try to start doing this more where I use Design Doll or just like a posing program, because I'm able to get, because sometimes I have like ideas in my head, but they're not super clear, and there's foreshortening issues and everything else like that. So it's nice to have a doll to position really quick, to just get that idea out quickly and just get right into the art stuff. So I think that's definitely something I want to keep on exploring, but I need to also do fundamentals and practice and be able to draw the things on my own, of course. I can't just like leave it as a crutch. Here I was just drawing in a bowl just to quickly have it there as something, and I'm just like, I suck at doing this. So I had to go look up a reference, so I made the reference really quick. I had paused the video as I looked up the reference, and I forgot to unpause the video as I drew it out, and I'm like, oh, just turn that back on. We're just gonna have a pot appear. It's fine. But yeah, it's things like that, like having to look up a reference. I need to get better about not having to do that. I would look them up to make my life easier, not to have it as a crutch. So here I'm gonna struggle around with hand placement for a little while. But overall, like this came out pretty good. I felt pretty good about it. And the workflow and all that. I'm at the point where I just space out and then everything I meant to remember is gone. Is that what being an adult is? Is that what we have to look forward to? I do just like, the like skeletons of poses. Like the arm is just a long line with circles. for the hand, elbow, and shoulder. Chest is a box and all that. Well, yeah. I mean, like, drawing up a character or a creature, you should always start with the basic shapes and then further define it. Like, with this, I define the body before I add the clothing on. Like, you gotta go in the layers of progression if you want to make sure that your anatomy is good. And you're not making, like, simple mistakes. Because there's a lot of information, really, in these kind of pictures. There's the kind of emotion you want to convey, how the light bounces on the character, how the clothing folds. There's so many things to juggle in your mind and render out. So it really is, like, important to start simple and then add those layers of complexity. I add, like, the derpiest face here. It's so funny. It's playing around with big eyebrows. But yeah, that was just me, like, going, okay, what do I want the expression to be? Because I know I want it to be happy. Does happy work? And I'm like, no, I'm just being silly because I'm just adding a silly face. But again, that's like, let's quickly hash out this design and have it there as a loose thing that we can further detail. And keeping it in grayscale makes it even easier too, because you're not worried about the colors being right and everything. Making it as simple as you can, so you can work quickly, which is definitely a thing that I'm trying to improve. Work smarter, not harder. That's the one. The big feet. Yeah, I ended up the foot, I forget which foot, but it looked derpy for quite some time. I think it's the bottom one, trying to make it look like it hit the ground. I was thinking that was kind of the look I was going for, but the foot didn't look quite right. And that was my bad anyway, because, again, not wanting to use this as a crutch, I just moved the foot around, and I figured that was, like, pretty much the position of the foot. But it required a different, you can kind of see it here, like, it looks kind of broken. It required, like, I should have drawn it out by scratch, that piece, because it required a different position. So it's just gonna look awkward. You're super welcome. See it as an opportunity to draw more weird bodies. Your next one's gonna be like super buff JoJo character. And also, I really I appreciate, and I think I can utilize it more in future, making a 3D model, a rough 3D model that then I paint and design over. There's the three-dimensional lines in space there that will probably allow me to make I don't know how to explain it. Like, if I was gonna add backgrounds and stuff, although with the monthly characters, I'm not really concerned with the backgrounds. I'm more concerned with the characters themselves. But it's just nice to have those guidelines. to know where the ground is and how it goes to the back, getting smaller, larger, foreshortening, that thing that I can't articulate right now. Dynamic views, rather than just having a model floating in space. I can think, just not at the moment. Yeah. There's like a lot of people that do the 3D model thing first, and then jump into a digital painting program. Like, I've seen that done with architecture a lot, where they set up the boxes, and then they go in and paint the street that they're trying to the street they're trying to paint for like some charming Disney movie or some grungy old little alleyway. And like mecha bots and stuff. And I'm thinking while I'm doing this, I'm like, man, why have I not taken advantage of that? It's a nice speedy way to do things. His teeth were really strange though, I've got to say, not having white teeth. They looked just awkward. They didn't really look like wood. I think I should have probably spent more time maybe texturing them or something. Actually looking up wooden teeth. One of the few things I didn't reference. I never even considered using a 3D model, but it makes sense with boxes and items and rooms and all that, especially for backgrounds. Yeah. There was a tweet that I saw right after I had done this, actually, from one of the artists that I follow, where she had shown a picture of a desk that she drew, right? It was just a desk. It was very well done with books and little knickknacks and stuff. And she was making a point, and she was like, hey, guys, fellow artists, don't forget, like, make your lives easier. And right next to it, she showed a picture of, I don't know if it was Maya or something, it was one of the 3D programs, maybe Blender, where it just showed the shapes of, this was the table, and then these were the books all piled on top of each other, and a few other items, and it was just a block out, a simple block out in 3D where she could rotate the items, rotate the camera to get it just to be exactly how she wants it. And then she had brought it into Photoshop and she had painted in the details. And I was like, yes! Kind of validation for what I'm trying to get into and remember in my head. That, you know, use the 3D model to help you out. Make life easier. Because sure, you could draw that by hand. And calculating out how everything's supposed to lie and how the lines are supposed to go is definitely good exercise for your brain and your art skills. But there's always room for error, and it is slower, especially if you're working under a deadline. It can be easier, can be better to utilize the 3D stuff. It also reminds me a lot of photo bashing as well. That's another technique that a lot of artists in the field do to speed up their workflow, where they take a bunch of pictures that are like free textures that you can use, essentially, like CG textures. Well, I don't know if I think it's just called textures right now, textures.com. I think I showed it briefly in the Modding Monday stream, where you can just take photos, and instead of using them as textures of like, oh, the stained glass, let's make them look more like stained glass, you can just put a bunch of photos together to make like a fantasy mountain range with a village down in the valley kind of a thing. Instead of going into a 3D program and setting up a scene, you can just use different photos and overlay them on top of each other, warp them how you'd like, and get that rough going that then you can paint over. Then it just saves you a couple steps because it gets the idea out of your head faster. Because there's sometimes it's you got that vagueness to your idea that's in your head. That you know what it's supposed to look like, but you're not always quite sure how it should come out. And the photo bashing can be really nice because it helps sometimes with what colors you want to use. Whereas using the 3D programs, you don't really get that. You just get the models and that's it. Nice and gray. And there, I'm struggling with the hands a little bit. I'm trying to leave them cartoony, have that cartoony vibe. But I think I could have done better. Hands and the feet, as usual. Dog, are you freaking out? You were the one who wanted to sleep in here. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna let my dog go out because she cannot go through that cat door. She will not fit. You mean the sheep? Hello there, Elkos. Yes, the sheep. Dang it, no, why'd I do that? That would have been the perfect opportunity to realize the foot is weird and fix it. But no, I don't register that the foot is weird until like way further on. It's funny, the things that you miss, because you're just thinking about all the other elements of the photo and you're just trying to go, do it, get desensitized. Oh wait, maybe I'm noticing it a little bit here. Okay, I am. I'm going, wait a minute. Or do I just make it even weirder looking? Silly foot. The struggle continues. Hobbits have weird feet, though. They have big hairy feet. They're not that weird. It's not like they've got like 6 toes or anything. Or 3 toes. Yeah, see, I should have gone back to the design doll and rotated that foot and saw how it was supposed to look. Or I should have referenced feetsies. But oh well. Yeah, see here I basically gave up on the idea of having the foot touching down to the ground. I just decided to have him float, because that would be easier for me. Hello there, Bear Chaser. You changed the color of your name again. Hobbits have big hairy feet and don't wear shoes. This is true. This is true. I tried to make the feet nice and big, and I did add hair at the end. Granted, it was just like the line, the squiggly line of the pen going, there's hair here. This is the indication of hair. Oh, halflings, hobbits. Did I screw it up? Did I screw that up again? I'm pretty sure this one was then a hobbit. Yes. Naming conventions. I followed my notes. You wanted a little creature that had the big hairy feetsies, and that's what I did. Love how you came in hot and you're just like, I need to explain this. Need to let everyone know what a hobbit is and what a halfling is. Oh gosh. It's okay. We all make mistakes. I certainly did. I should have known from DnD. Proprietary rights. No. Don't worry. I feel you, Hendris. My memory's not the greatest either. I kind of blame the fact that I studied so much art and I was so focused on that. So I feel like I can remember those kind of things really well. But when it comes to other things, I'm just not as in tune. All the memory's bad. I wonder if that's just a general trend for humanity. That doesn't seem like a good thing. Oh, look at me making that soup. Should have also changed that hand, too. It's not really holding the pot as well as it should. No wonder he's spilling it everywhere. I have way too much trivia things I can remember it somehow. Right? It's weird, because certain things you can remember quite well. Your memory is very good, and then other things just in one ear, out the other, goes over your head. Blank out. Outcasts. Yeah, I definitely stylized the soup as well. I'm like, here's some things in it. I'm not going super detailed. That was funny. Oh gosh. Okay, so the dagger. I was looking for references and I found a really cool dagger reference. I'm like, yeah, this is the one he can use. This looks really cool for like his sword. Just elongated a little bit. And then I was drawing it out and I'm like, wait, it's gonna be in its scabbard pretty much. No one's gonna see it. Like that's pretty much the extent of it. So I went through all that trouble for nothing. Well, not trouble. It was just like getting all excited about drawing this really nice sword, and I didn't end up using it that way. I suppose, I mean, at that point, I was just picking out references just to have, and I wasn't quite sure what position I wanted to have him in, so at that point in time, I guess I can give myself a little credit of like, I might have, you know, had things gone another way. I could have had him holding his sword, and then that reference would have meaning. not sure if I guess I'm starting with the clothing now. I've already forgotten my workflow at this one. It's been a while. We were talking about memory. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Because, like, I color-coded the clothing when I started. I was like, why am I starting in black? Am I remembering this incorrectly? So now we're hashing out the clothing. I think I did a bit better on this one than the ones in past. Trying to design something nice for him. It's kind of unfortunate. You can see it here. I had ideas to put in texture into the clothing, and I totally forgot to add it in at the end when I was coloring and adding details. I was just like, whoops, okay, that was something that I forgot. It's just gonna be what it is. So I just need to remember in my workflow to go back to the sketch one last time, make sure that I've got everything. Yeah, see, there it is. The texture was just triangular looking things, and then you have those little I don't know if they're like beads. But I guess beads would work for what they were in my head. Just like little gold round balls at the end of each of the diamonds. And that was just the way it was sewn. Quick unrelated question. How do you pronounce serendipity? Serendipity. That's how you do it. Glad to be of assistance. Serendipity? Yeah, I realized it was gonna be too much of a bother to do the sewing design texture on the arms, so I left that alone. I was just like, nope. I could have done that, but that would require a lot more effort and a lot more time. And I thought in the design it would look just as good to have a different colored arm cloth to it. And there's the chainmail underneath. Which I used a I don't know if you'd call it a special technique, but I did use a technique to try to make the rings look more realistic. I think I could have pushed it a little bit more. That's something I need to work on to make it a little bit more realistic, or at least it was definitely good enough for a rough. Probably would have been better to go back in and paint it a little bit more realistically. But it was the same general technique that I use with creating scales. Like I had done with the Dr. Zoidberg one, the request I got from Zarlark the one time. So you'll be able to see that later. It's like a layer property special effect. Don't fall in the rabbit hole, Muse. The more you pay attention to the pronunciation, the weirder it sounds. It's true. I've been there with a lot of common words. Bagel. Bagel, bagel, bagel. Alright, I think we're done with the clothes. This part's funny, because sometimes when I'm erasing the body, I realize that I didn't draw all the lines that I was supposed to for the clothing. This one looks okay, though. It's like I didn't miss anything. Oh, wait, I missed the shoulder there. Yep. I think I could have also extended the cape out a little bit more underneath the pot on that right-hand side. It's very flowy to one side only. Guess it kind of makes sense depending on how it catches the wind. I had to change the soup to make it a little bit more balanced overall in the composition of it. The way your soup falls out of the pot matters, dang it. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm moving it down, okay. Oh, am I gonna change the cape? Nope. I just need to change the way the lines meet up because it just flowed from one thing to another at that same point of the line, and that just doesn't look good. So having the chainmail stick out a little bit more breaks it up. I don't know why I had the scabbard, the handle of the sword sticking out in front of the arm. That should not be. It should not be a thing. The arm needs to be in front. I'm just kind of waiting until I finally see that and fix it. There we go. There we go. Oh wow, I'm looking over at OBS and it looks like the music's a little bit too low. Don't really know. Oh no, it's picking up, okay. I guess we're good. Was this the monthly lottery winner? Yes. Hendris picked the Halfling Hobbit. So I try to record each one of them that I do, and then do a stream where you guys can see how it came to be, the different techniques I use and try out, maybe fall in love with, maybe not like. It's all helpful though, trying out different things that artists like to use and why they like to use them, and find out if they work for you. Like the notes, I'm always gonna have those up now. The notes on a character. And I think I'll be using Design Doll for the foreseeable future, which means I really should study how to use that program more efficiently. Change the body types. I don't know what I'm doing there. I'm just like, I want to have the brushes out for some reason. I was just being finicky. This was actually another thing. The way I have my Photoshop set up, where I have all of my brushes listed on the side, that was something that didn't exist for me for a very long time. It's only in recent years that I have that second panel there taking up space, because it used to just be the navigator and the layers, and anytime I wanted color or brush presets, I would just go to those other windows. But I had seen another artist that had this setup. At least the brushes. The color thing I just added recently, and I really love having the color window there at my disposal rather than always going to the little color swatches here and constantly fiddling with them. It's just nice to be able to go straight to the source. But having the brushes here and having them labeled, it's really nice compared to always doing the drop down. So, pick up different things from different people. I'm trying to remember who that artist was, actually, that made me reconsider my Photoshop workflow, or workspace, rather. I can remember their art. Oh, Wallop. I think it was Wallop. I think that's how you pronounce their username. Wulp? I don't know. And their art's really pretty. They're able to do like this nice, loose, really loose looking style, but have a lot of detail incorporated into it at the same time. That's really fascinating stuff. I'm currently trying to get a workflow for CC Animate. I haven't really used that program much. It sounds amazing. Because I assume that's that one, if I recall correctly, is the one that's kind of like the Design Doll thing where you have different models that you can position. Hello there, Zarlark. Hope you're having a good day today. CC Animate is basically just Flash. Dang it, then what's the one with the characters? Maybe it actually has character in its name. CC Animate. Alright, like that I think is probably a better name than Flash. Especially since Flash is being deprecated? Depreciated? I never have to say that word out loud, so I don't actually know the pronunciation, the correct pronunciation. Being retired, I guess I should say. CC Animate. Yeah, I remember they renamed Flash, but I always keep on forgetting what the rename is, because I just think of it as Flash. Oh. Man, I haven't used Flash in so long either. I dabbled in it a little bit in high school just so I could learn how to make simple animation, and I didn't fall in love with it at all, so... I never got really far in it. It also like bothered me, the whole vector workflow. It just felt unintuitive compared to what I'm used to in Photoshop. Flash has been discontinued with Animate taking its place. So it's not just a name change then. It's they redesigned the program. I ask inquisitively. Oh, I think I struggle with the eyebrows for a little while too, so that's gonna happen. There we go. He's coming together. Just gotta do all the line work. And basically they gave Flash a new suit with a name tag on saying, "Hi, my name is Adobe CC Animate." I see. Well, whatever works. I guess it makes sense for a naming convention, because like they had acquired Flash a long way back, and their naming conventions were fairly straightforward, like Illustrator and Photoshop. So Flash being renamed to Animate, it makes sense. Yeah, what was... God, that's so long ago. What was the company? I know it started with an M. The company that had made Flash. Micromedia? I think it was Micromedia Flash. Back in the day. I think my first experience with Flash was when it was Micromedia Flash, before Adobe even owned it. Oh man. Then again, I mean, my first Photoshop was Photoshop 7 too. It's going back. Way back. I still have the disc too. It's totally pointless because you can't even run it anymore because it's such a small bit program. It's like 16-bit or something. So like on a 32-bit system you could, I suppose, but not on the 64-bit operating system, I mean. So trying to stick the disc in, it would just be like, you what, mate? Like, I can't install this. I can't run this. I have to familiarize myself with Flash Animate because I will be using it nonstop until December for that sweet, sweet animation. I was horrible because what I would do in college for animations, I would just use Photoshop, and it's like the clunkiest. Like, it can do it, but it's the clunkiest thing to use to make an animation. It's just like, no, I want to stay in the program I know. I just didn't want to draw in Flash. And I didn't want to have to worry about importing and exporting from Flash and Photoshop. So it's just like, screw it. But it is hard, like, because you don't even get the onion skinning that you can get with Flash. I hope I said that correctly. Where you can see your older frames and your newer ones, so you can make the tweening more smooth. doesn't have that. Last I checked anyway, it doesn't. They still teach Flash. I mean, yeah, like they teach the Adobe suite, so they teach Flash and Illustrator and Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver, you know what? That name isn't like totally cut to the chase obvious. They're probably gonna rename Dreamweaver like web designer soon or something. Goodness. The PCs with Cintiqs on them have Animate installed. Yeah, I think with at least the way my college worked, they got the whole entire suite and they just installed all of the programs. So they were on every computer. I thought it was depreciated with HTML5. You can still do HTML5 formats. Yeah, like the Flash program and how you make animations, at least like now it's called Animate. I would imagine that you can export your creations in non-Flash formats now, especially since they renamed it. I imagine that's part of the point, is that they don't do just Flash. So many yawns. I should like isolate the line drawing and make that go extra fast. And Animate has become pretty similar to Photoshop's design. You can't do filters as far as I'm aware, but it's vector-based. It's vector-based and actually pretty easy to use. Yeah, I remember even when it was Flash, it wasn't too hard to like learn. So I imagine Animate being even more like Photoshop would be easier for people that know Photoshop, know different art programs to jump into that. But it is a little bit different working vector compared to raster in terms of drawing. Because I think with that one, an Illustrator too, like they remember the strokes as different separate entities. And that's just like, it's hard for my brain to kind of wrap itself around that concept. That'll be fun. I managed to cut down the script from basically being 5 minutes to being 2 minutes. There you go. You got this. It's still probably going to be a lot to animate. You gotta look up lots of hacks and tips and tricks with animating. You know, like the whole work smarter, not harder. Because I'm sure there's some pretty cool tricks you can use that they use in the animation industry to make it more cost-effective, quicker. With 24 frames, drawing on 2s, which makes 12 images per second, and background, foreground items up to 3 characters. Yeah, I found an animation style, drawing style, which is simplified, but really satisfying to see. That's good. Simplification is also pretty important, to have a character that you can animate easily. I'm always impressed with anime, the whole Japanese animation thing, where you can make a character look really detailed, but it's still simplified for actual animation, and it's impressive. You see a lot more obvious simplification in Western animation, like noodle arms and stuff. where they don't have to pay attention to correct anatomy. And it just makes it quicker to get the job done and animate. Simpler faces. The style of Fritz Freleng, who was the one of the guys behind Looney Tunes and went on to make Pink Panther cartoon series, which I adore. Ah, nice. Alright. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think it's gonna be really cool. Zarlark making it rain. We'll give you guys your points now. I switched around the two things. There you go. I posted a vid with the first episode of that series on Discord. The Pink Panther series? I meant like seeing your finished product. What you come up with. What you design and animate. That's an animated short series with really good comedy. Post that too, don't worry. Good. I wasn't worried though. I was pretty confident that you'd share. Oh, what next? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna do the chainmail? Nope. I'm gonna do that because that's a nice, easy trick to simplify my life. So I did not have to draw out that other sword. And that's actually something, if I'm doing a face that's facing straight forward. A lot of the faces that I draw are 3/4 or profile. Most of them are 3/4 because that looks more dynamic and interesting. But a forward-facing face, if I'm making something polished, I will draw the face out roughly, and then I'll copy the jaw that I like best, like the side of the jaw that I like best, side of the nose, eyes, and I'll copy it to the other side. I'll mirror it. So I have like pretty much perfect symmetry to the face, and then modify it slightly to have that more organic asymmetry that you get slightly in a face. Because it speeds things up rather than going, this eye isn't perfect, I'm going to constantly try to work at it, this jaw isn't, and constantly flipping back and forth. You can just copy the side that you like, mirror it over, and go from there. It works especially well with like cartoon faces that tend to have that kind of really almost perfect symmetry, like anime. Alright, so here, I had gone into the layer properties and I added the bevel and emboss special effect to it. You can see it actually right there, the effects. And I'm editing it slightly here with the different settings that you have available. And it just makes it easier to really quickly make little links that look like chainmail links, you know, rather than just circles. And it's not perfect. You'll see as I keep going, like over here on this part of the outfit that's supposed to be covering the chain links, you'll have the light hitting it kind of wrong. It will be light here where it's supposed to be dark. But it does really help speed up things. And it's excellent for like little buttons. If I actually remember to do the texture in the shirt, I would have had like the little button dot, have the bevel embossed, so you just get that little bit of light shine. And it just is great. It's great. It makes your life so much easier. So you can see here, it's a little bit awkward. And then you can go back in and then you can add the little extra sharp bit of white to have where the light is really hitting it. Yeah. Bevel and emboss. It's helpful. Chainmail hack. Pretty much. I think looking at it now, I probably should have made the shine a little bit sharper. Yeah, you can see I turned it off there. Like, it just looked like normal circles, and then you get the shine to it. Should have made it a little bit more crisp and sharp. I think it's a little bit soft here. This softness would have been fine if I was polishing this up more and more and adding more detail to it, but for what it is, I think I go back in on this line here and I make these elements dark. Or either that or I put a layer mask on and I clean up these edges. It's just a little bit awkward there. Just a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, that technique's good for chainmail, for scales, and for little buttons. And well, I guess whatever else would also look like little buttons. Like little, I can't remember the name of it. But the little things that you put, like, yeah, I lost it. Things that look like buttons. Sometimes I have cool ideas for GIFs, but I get so lazy just thinking about the amount of work a 5-second GIF would take. 5 seconds, that's not bad. That would be like a nice little exercise. I haven't made an animation in quite some time, but it's fun to do them. It is. There's some cool hacks like interpolation and stuff, but I can't. But I don't enough hacks to make me actually do it. Don't know enough hacks. Well, that's what you got tutorials for. It's actually impressive and heartwarming to see so much knowledge that's available on the internet. Like DeviantArt for one, that community, you've got so many wonderful, excellent tutorials out there the artists just put together to help other artists. And it can really help you understand things, help you with hacks. So, but there we go. There's the chainmail. Should probably move my mouse out of the way. Man. We're not even to the fun part where we start coloring. Hurry up, me from the past. Really, I thought DeviantArt only had half-naked cosplayers. I'm sure that's sarcastic, but I guess I was looking at the wrong place. I think it's kind of like YouTube, where there's different sides to YouTube that you can get lost in. But yeah, DeviantArt actually, there's just an impressive wealth of information and resources. It's great. There's lots of stock photos and textures that you can use. Lots of great desktop wallpapers too. And of course, art tutorials and art memes. Love the art memes. I always get lost there, but in a very good way. I haven't gotten lost on DeviantArt in a while. I got lost on Pinterest now. The Pinterest is like, I don't know. It's a horrible search engine. It's basically more of image association, loose image association, where it's just like, hey, this is relevant too. I think that just makes it more addictive though, because you're constantly looking. Pinterest. I don't know what that is, only hear the name. It's essentially an image search engine that has user-generated content where a person goes to different websites, like say DeviantArt, textures.com, whatever, different websites, they see pictures that they like, they save them. And then you can search in Pinterest for, I don't know, anime cat girls, and then you get everybody's pins of those things from all different websites. So it's like, it's kind of like Google Images, where you put in your search term and Google like searches through all of the websites and all of the things. But Pinterest operates more on like what people have categorized and how they've categorized them. And there is a ton of art help stuff there as well. You must have an account just to browse that website. That is one thing that did make me very salty, because I actually use it mainly to organize the things that I want to buy or I have purchased and I have enjoyed. So I use it as like a glorified shopping list, essentially. And whenever I have family members or friends going like, hey, what are things that you kind of want, like for gift ideas, essentially for like Christmas or my birthday, I'm just like, I have these lists that I've made for myself on Pinterest. I'm just like, here's a link so you can just see the things that I want. I have it all like tagged of like the costs of things. So someone could just peruse a category and be like, oh, this is $5, I'll pick this up. And then it's something that I actually wanted and they can give me a gift. But no, because they go see the nice little list and then it's like, oh, we have to sign up on the site, otherwise the site's gonna bug me. So that actually requires me to tell them different random things that I may or may not want to get. It just makes it more awkward. It's so much more efficient. Just send you to a website. Ew, Pinterest. When I'm searching images on Google, I always add site pinterest.com because it won't allow me to browse on it. It's pretty cool, actually. I find Pinterest insanely useful as a shopping list. It's true. It's not really how it's kind of supposed to be meant to be used. It's kind of more like an idea list, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna make this my shopping list. Makes it much more simple. And then I can keep track kind of loosely of like what things cost then and if it's cheaper now. If that makes much sense. What am I? An Amazon wish list? I kind of use that. It's more of like a buy later list for me, just because I have things that I want from all over. Like some of the things are on Amazon, some things are from Walmart, some things are from specialty shops that I want to have in my life. So Pinterest, since it takes from everywhere and you can link it to the website, I just do that, and then I have the prices from those stores, and then when I want to go purchase the item, I go to the store that normally you'd purchase it from, and then I'll check on eBay or something for like a cheaper used version or just a cheaper version in general. And so like an Amazon wish list doesn't really do much for me because it's just like an isolated list when I would have to have other lists from other places. Pinterest is really good. It's just like a global solution for all of it. So yeah, that's how I operate. Just random knowledge about how I live my life. And you can bet there is actually a board dedicated to teas and mugs. I do have that. I will eventually get the pastel butt mug. This is the best mug. What about just making a quick HTML wish list? Oh, you mean like a public thing? Like that? On my website? Cause like, that sounds like work, Alcos. to maintain a personal shopping list for myself that I actually have to like write in the code and put together the stuff. Cause like, think about it. I can go to Amazon or I don't know about Walmart. I think, but I know like Amazon or eBay, they have like the Pinterest buttons where I just click and then it's done. With a website, I would have to edit it and then upload the changed website every time. So go into brackets, edit the code of the page, save, open up Dreamweaver, upload the page, save, and then I'm done. And I would have to do that for each edit that I do, and sometimes I'm perusing one day and I just decide to add a little thing. So that's not as optimized, I guess I should say. But it would make it easier for friends and family to view, that's for sure. That's the one merit of it. Anyone could just see it. And also, I would have to design a nice, pretty interface because it's me. And that would require even more effort. And then I have to embed pictures too. Not just the links and the text. Yeah, this is getting crazy. Though I don't know though, because I've looked at links that people have sent me on mobile when I didn't have Pinterest installed, and it seemed like I could view them. So I know with the desktop version it does get in your face about signing up for Pinterest, but I don't know if the mobile version does. Not that it doesn't make it any less clunky, but... Oh boy, I'm hyped for Saturday. What are you hyped for? Since it's done by you, you'd want to make it perfect then. You know me, Alcast. You know me. I mean, that's not entirely true. I can do simple stuff and not polish it to a T, but I'm already coming off of Pinterest, so I would want to have that level of functionality. The pot. I guess we're pretty close to the end of the line work. Then we can start beautiful, glorious color. Guess who's going on a sneak peek for a new set of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like the preview tournaments for MTG in sealed format. Oh, look at you. I'm so out of touch because I don't realize how popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still. after all this time, because I just remember it being super popular as a kid. Like, there was Pokemon was super popular, then Yu-Gi-Oh was super popular, and then it's just like, who plays card games on the bus anymore? Who plays card games recess and study hall anymore? It just went out of style. Speaking of MTG, I still need to see if my MTG library is any good. Yeah, that's another thing, keeping up with everything. That's why I really like casual MTG, because like all the cards can be used. So you can just have fun with what you have. So close. Finish the line art. I think I used like a very bad interpretation of trying to speed up the coloring workflow last time when not last time, when I was doing the dwarf guy from Lord of the Rings. I can't remember his name. Gimli. I had done that coloring technique that was supposed to be something that sped things up, and it really just slowed things down for me. And never again will I use that. With this one, I basically used my own technique of just coloring things in as quickly as I can, because my line art isn't like super crisp, so I just feel like it's better done by hand. And then I used a little bit of, God, Matt Rhodes, I think his name is Matt Rhodes, his shading technique of lights and darks. At least I hope I'm remembering correctly. It'd be kind of awkward if I was not. That's why I kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! A bit more. They don't have the set rotation thing going on, but rather they just make a new ban list every 4 to 5 months, where maybe 20 cards get banned and maybe 30 are. You're only allowed to have 1 or 2 of these in your deck. I have a black vampire deck. Ooh, that's nice. I had a spider deck that had I forget the title of it, but it was a growth card. It was a growth spell or an enchantment, which would just make them ridiculously strong. And I had spiders with death touch on them and stuff like that. It was fun. I didn't have enough vampires, or I don't have enough vampires in my collection to be able to even make a vampire deck, but that sounds really good. Sounds like a fun time. I like themed decks, I do. Rather than just picking like the best cards that work together. Although that's obviously a fun thing to do too. I like having a theme to the deck. So yeah, here I'm just doing the base, where I color in all the areas that need to have color in them. And then I'm going to go around the edges and I'm going to clean it up, and this is just going to be my mask for all the coloring that I'm going to be doing. And here I'm cleaning up some line work as well. But now you work in a game shop so you can get back into MTG. Or maybe not do that. I have 2 big binders filled with those cards. And I have a feeling that, like, if I got back into MTG, I would just probably want to buy other cards, and I can't, no. I have other things I want to spend my money on. You do? Oh my gosh, that is awesome. It would be, but the shop isn't as game focused as it used to be. Let's just put it that way. And it's not, I don't think it's as active as it used to be either, so. At least as it concerns card games. So. They don't even do, what was it? It was Friday Night Magic, I believe? They don't even do that anymore. None of the tournaments, none of that stuff. Trains and dinosaurs. Yes, trains and dinosaurs. That's what they like selling over there now. See, it hyped everybody up in chat saying that it was a game store. Look at what you did. I say it's a store that sells some game stuff. You could change that, start playing MTG on Sundays. I mean, like... But... I understand that I probably... If I had the desire to, I could probably take on that store as, like, some kind of project and try to make it a good store again, but do I want to go through that effort? Do I want to? There's a lot of drama revolving around the store, guys. I need to check out my locals for both MTG and Yu-Gi-Oh! Haven't visited both during events yet. Still technically a game shop. The Yu-Gi-Oh! One is closer, but it seems a bit less active than the MTG local one over at Brunswick. Use your skills to do a store redesign. It would require basically a lot of product work and organizing events and stuff like that to really bring it back. And like fighting with what kind of products should be in the store and what should be in front and what should be in the back. I'm just not about causing waves. If they want to sell dinosaurs and trains, it's their prerogative. And I mean, I could organize some events, I suppose, but I don't know, like there was so much heart to that place and I cared about it so much, but I don't have the emotional stock in it as I used to. We'll see though. Times change. The shop needs a makeover. Yeah. Yeah. Needs a new game table that's actually a game table and isn't warped. And it needs to not have all the windows closed up and have dinosaurs and trains in the front. And it also needs to have, like, people that know how to check people out properly. Anyway. Back to almost being finished with the base color of this picture. Almost ready to make a layer mask. And yet now you start working there. I wanted to work at that store when it first opened and it was a glorious game shop for nerds. I wanted to do that from the very beginning. But then things didn't work out that way, and that's okay. You're doing it already, Muse? Just wait till you get down there. We'll see. I definitely had to ring myself up the last time I was there. A little Muse magic. I don't know, guys. I feel like it's an uphill battle. Granted, I already know why I was called and was asked personally to, like, hey, you want this job because the person's quitting and I need someone to fill in here, and I think you would be the perfect person, winku winku, to mind the store. Now's your chance, save it from poor management. But the last person that tried to do that got the soul sucked out of them. Like, I know I'm good with dealing with people, but I don't want my soul sucked out. And actually, I'm gonna miss streaming on Sundays. That's gonna be kind of the bummer part of all of this. I thought it was so perfect, like Sunday. That's when we play Okami, where we're the sun god. You would have a much different approach than her. I suppose so. But I don't think I have that much of a mind for business, honestly. So I don't know if I'd be that good in terms of organizing things and putting things together. Or ordering stock. Figuring out what's most profitable. So you're saying I'd be a good salesman? Saleswoman. Like, buy the stuff you know you want to. It'll make me so happy. I feel like that's using my powers for evil and not good. Okay, yes, we're done. Can start with the actual coloring now. So we select that and we make it a folder mask. And there's not much happening there on Sundays. You could stream while working. No, I couldn't. Because I would not have the appropriate computer to do so. Or programs to do so. And I feel like that would be super unprofessional. So right there I just I made a duplicate of the base and I merged it down, and that was just because there were some spots that weren't opaque enough. So I just made sure that the base was 100% opaque before I made it a layer mask. And now I paint in the different sections on different layers. So I have like the pants here. I'm cleaning them up because they're going to be a top layer. And the things underneath it and above it I clean in specific ways. Like a lower layer can be really messy because the upper top layer is going to be cleaner and take care of those edges. Like here you can see with the pants, I'm not caring about paint spilling over onto the shirt because the shirt's going to be the higher level in the hierarchy. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I think I'm just organizing things. It'd be easier for people when they download the Photoshop file. Oh no, I think I'm checking the sketch. Maybe that's what I'm doing. Oh yeah, I vaguely remember this. I forget why I was checking the sketch, but I was. Oh, for the crotch. Yeah, okay. I didn't know where that ended. And I didn't draw that line out. There we go. See? Forget lines sometimes. And you layer up everything. Alternatively, just get one of those phone holders. Make sure to open the front cam and do one of those in real life streams. Hey guys, I'm minding a store where there's no one here. Okay. Hope you enjoy this. Yeah, no, I'm gonna probably get some. I'm going to optimize the way my time is spent, and I'm probably gonna get some personal work done. Like I have certain notes regarding game stuff, regarding modding stuff that I can organize. I have some books that I wanted to actually read, and now I have the chance where I'm locked up in a different place without my computer, so I might as well read the books that I need to read or want to read. And also, I can dedicate some of that time to sketching, practicing my art. I will make use of the time, I will. A stream of Muse sitting bored in a store, shuffling her library and sorting cards. No, I would place a banana on the desk and just stare at it for an hour or so, and then the stream would end. Yeah, see, the cloak is behind the pants. And I'm not worrying about the cloak bleeding over into other things because it's a lower layer. So yeah, I just layer them up, and this way you don't have to worry about making everything. Oh, that was another time where I started working and I forgot to stop the stream appropriately. And you just don't have to worry about constantly coloring in the lines. You only have to worry about it once when it's important. So, another time-saving hack. And it makes it also easier for color correction for different parts, like lightening or darkening the skin. Oopsie. Changing the color of different pieces of clothing. Layers are the most useful thing ever. They really are. Oh, there, I think I might have been painting on the wrong layer. Look at that. Ah, I remember when I went from my sketchbook to Photoshop when I started actually doing digital artwork, and I was wrapping my head around layers and getting used to using them. And I was like, God, this is like really, really awesome. And now I can't live without them. I mean, I can, but they're so important. They're so useful. All hail cells to the invention of layers. Give props to those who have come before us and made these things possible. Those hand-painted cells that laid on top of hand-painted pictures or film. I feel like this part is not super eventful, kind of like the line art, but it's a much more enjoyable part for me. I feel like you've gotten over the hump of designing the character, of doing the line work, and now you can just relax and just fill in the lines, not have to think too hard about it. Man, I really need to publish the 15-minute speed paints of these to YouTube. I have been, as I had talked about in the Patreon blog, I've been working more on my YouTube. I have uploaded pretty much all of the ESOs. I have not published them, however, yet. I feel kind of bad about that because I wanted to start publishing them by the end of this month, but I'm actually working a little bit with Tom184 on the SEO stuff, like how to best optimize them. So I've been refraining on publishing them. But soon, I'll start getting things up to date. Gotta go. I hope you all will have a good day/evening. Goodbye, Zarlark. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye, Jimmy. The coloring is nice, and I'm sure more relaxing for you, but I love watching the line work. Ah, interesting. Yeah, lately I've been doing most of the line work all by hand. I have been known to hybridize it slightly, where I use a hand and the pen tool. But I don't really like using the pen tool. Like, I like it, but I don't. It's just, it's hard to explain. It doesn't feel very organic. And when I tried to hybridize it to speed up my workflow, like say something like the cape here, that long curve, I could use the pen tool to get that done in 2 seconds. But the pen tool's always so crisp. It looks unnatural against the line work. So, random facts. Is there a piece of work you really enjoyed making, like your magnum opus? I don't know about magnum opus, especially since my style and my skills keep on evolving and getting better. I mean, there's been a few that I felt really satisfied with. And a few that seem to have stood the test of time for me, where I don't go, ew, old work. There's been a few that were especially memorable, like my first piece of digital artwork, my first piece in Photoshop, stuff like that. But those are kind of crap compared to now. Isn't magnum opus the last big and awesome piece before either dying or becoming unimportant? That's how I know the word to be used, kind of. More like magnum opus and then you retire, rather than becoming unimportant or dying. That's a little bit harsher, but it's still applicable. Is a pick of her Dragonborn Paladin? No! We don't show that to anyone. That's literally a stick figure, guys. Don't even worry about it. Unless you're talking about the actual drawing that I did of my Dragonborn Paladin, which was fun to do. It was an interesting style to draw her in. That was a while back. That was for one of the monthly art things before it became this new format. Xerxes. No, it's amazing. Yeah, I can't really think of any art piece that was a magnum opus, except for maybe Mr. Fluffy Bum, my Flash animation. because that was the last Flash animation that I've ever done. I guess that could be considered my magnum opus for Flash. Putting all of my knowledge and skills to the test. And I think, honestly, this Dark Brotherhood mod that I'm doing now could be considered my magnum opus for Skyrim mods. I don't intend to retire now. I had in the past. I'll probably continue making things because I have plenty of ideas. But that mod's definitely a ridiculous undertaking if I can do all the things that I want to do. So. Mr. Fluffy Bum, that sounds epic. I can show you guys Mr. Fluffy Bum. I can do that. Let me see here. I could probably pull it out onto the screen and have it over on the side here in Photoshop. It's a small thing. But it's in an archive, so I need to uncompress it. Let's see here. I think I've actually shown it on stream before, guys. I'm fairly confident. But it was a while back. Creations. Animations. What did I still... I guess I... Oop. Rabbit wings. Okay, yeah, that was my last animation in Photoshop as well. There's Mr. Fluffy Bum. Whoa, let's put him over here. Adobe Flash. It was just literally me trying to learn Flash and playing around with things. I was like, okay, we good. I worked on that when I was done with all my other things in class. And it just goes in a loop. That's all it is. My totally unbiased opinion is that the Serena one and my profile one are your magnum opus. Fair, fair. Everyone can have their opinions. I'm so disappointed with this heart. I didn't make that pop disappear like I should have. And I remember when I rendered this out and I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, I have that error. Oh well. Imperfections. So, yeah, Mr. Fluffbum. Let's see. We have this old, oh gosh, we have this old animation on paper. I did a lot of those. I did a lot of tracing paper animations where it's just like quick couple seconds. That and a walking cycle and stuff. But nothing as good as Mr. Fluffbum. That heart disappearing is so unsatisfying. Okay, I don't have a version of my Photoshop animation without sound. So, let's see. If I turn this, if I mute that, no. If I unmute that. If I mute it this way, I open this up. Oh, it actually blew out the other one. Well, I went down my rabbit hole a little bit too far. But now you get to see my Photoshop animation for a hot sec. It's like a commercial break. The animation that I refuse to do in Flash. It's all so dramatic, because it's just a rabbit deciding to do something epic. Oh god. I just wanted to have this play in the corner. And now it's just here for everyone to see. He flew away so badly. Oh, yay! Okay, thank you. Thank you, VLC. That makes it so much easier to just get to the spot where we left off. That's kind of close. We were at the teeth, right? I believe so. Close enough. There we go. I'm not gonna mess around anymore with that stuff. Well, I'm not sure what cat smile is. What the heck is cat smile? Oh. Oh, this was actually the first one I ever did. Animation. And it says Flash, but I swear I did that in Photoshop. Oh. I'm gonna close this now. We're not even gonna get into my 3D stuff because that stuff's trash. Back to the wonderful, glorious world of color. I should do like a lot of bunny themed stuff now that I think about it. It's kind of interesting. Oh man. What, you wanted to see the 3D stuff? I'm pretty sure those are in movie format though, so they would take up this screen rather than me just being able to put it on the side. Though, if you guys are really interested in seeing my really bad, prefacing that really bad 3D stuff, we can watch that at the end of the stream. No sweat. Actually, it's almost 5. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We haven't even gotten to the shading and stuff. Goodness. You can make a Patreon video of you going through your old stuff in a month you don't feel like vlogging. I could do that. Vlogging's fun though. I like going out in the woods and just talking about stuff. But that's an idea. Agreed. All the old things. I think the old anime drawings that I used to do in my sketchbook. I still actually have a huge amount of old artwork from my previous sketchbooks. All these scraps of paper that I decided to save in a folder. Like one of those, I'm not quite sure the correct name for them, but they're the kind of folders that you pull apart and it has multiple slots inside. And you can like fit a massive amount of paper in them. I have one of those. It's filled with art. So maybe I'll make a video and share it with you guys about that kind of stuff. Show you how far I've come, how far I have yet to go. I forgot to turn the music back on. I was wondering why it was silent. I'm like, no, you know what? You did this to yourself. There we go. Get to listen to, what is this, Bowser's theme or something? It sure sounds like it. Super Mario Bros. Alright, I gotta go. That is fair. We're gonna be probably extending the stream a little bit longer than usual, just so you can get all of the visual data here. I gotta get better at compressing these, speeding these up to a little bit closer to exactly 2 rather than 2:14. But okay, bye-bye, Elkos. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. So close. So close. Gotta go back to work. Alright, I can see it's closing time. This is why I think the 5 o'clock mark's good. Kind of works for a lot of people. Actually, you know what? Let's see. It's almost 20 minutes longer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip to where the color's finished so we can get to the shading part. Okay, there we go. Almost. I think I actually have to still do this too. Adding color to the eyes. That's a little bit better. Get to the cool, fun, interesting stuff of shading. I think I actually end up removing some of the shading from his eyes. Like, I love shading eyes. I love making them look all deep and super magnetizing, interesting. I love coloring eyes. But the way I ended up with this character, it just seemed like the eyes were a little bit too detailed compared to the rest of the stuff. So I'm fairly certain I toned that down a little bit. Or at least considered it. Like we've kind of established, I've forgotten a lot about the workflow since it's been a month. So there's the pot. I'm actually using the Wacom because Windows keeps shoving that in my face. Stew pieces. It was actually when I did this and I drew out the line work for it, I was keeping Animal Crossing's style design in mind with the little dots and stuff. Like it reminded me of Animal Crossing where they have that simplicity, but you can see what obviously the thing is. I mean, it seems a little bit strange, but that was just how my brain works, because obviously like Animal Crossing isn't about the design of stew. But just adding those little bits in, those little round bits, that's where my mind went. The simple style. Speaking of Animal Crossing, actually, I noticed finally in New Leaf how they changed the cliff faces, where it looks super 3D. And when I was playing Pocket Camp, that was one of my first criticisms where I was really confused and irritated because of the design style of Animal Crossing was very tight and obvious, like it all meshed together. It was the style of Animal Crossing. And in Pocket Camp, I'm like, everything still looks like the style that it's supposed to be in, but then you have these cliff sides that look out of place and they look extra 3D detailed, and it was awful to my eyes. And I noticed in New Leaf that that was actually where they had done that design change. It wasn't it wasn't a Pocket Camp. And I was a little bit sad about that, because that means that, like, they're probably going to be keeping that style for the foreseeable future. And it's interesting, and it's bothersome at the same time for me personally. I did not really notice the cliffs, probably because I played New Leaf first. Yeah, I think it's much easier if you played that game first, that introduces that different style or that different feature. You just accept it as that's how it should be. But coming from the beginning, the cliffs, the colors that they used, and the shapes, the way the colors cut against one another, it was just it meshed really well with the way the trees were designed, the way the grass was designed, and it just was really jarring to see that, the 3D. And as I watched more footage of New Leaf, because like Pocket Camp is a little bit different, I think because they can't have, I mean, I guess they could have the same kind of visual effects and super good graphics, but I think they minimized that somewhat. In New Leaf, I was seeing a lot of fluid dynamics, I think I saw, and lighting effects. A lot of things looked very felty. The grass looked felty. The animals looked felty. Oh, there's the highlights there again. I do like this technique of being able to just flatten the colors into one layer for highlights and one layer for lowlights for shadows, and just revealing it where I want to. It's a very nice, simple way to just get it done. But yeah, I don't know who decided that that should be a thing, but I feel bad because that's just, they had a good design and now they're just fiddling with it, and I don't approve. Essentially, I'm just venting my opinion. And it seems like that's going to be a future trend where they fiddle with it more and more. So, in a few years, it might look very different than what we're used to. I was also intrigued by how Blathers doesn't really live up to his name of Blathers anymore. When you hand him in a fossil, he's just like, okay, thank you for your donation, rather than going deep into like just nerding out about things. And I mean, I do appreciate that, like, in the museum, it looks like you have all of the dialogue and stuff of like, this is what this thing was, like a little history lesson that you can go back to. With the original game, it was just he said it once and that was it. You never saw it again. You never heard it again. But it's such a shame, because he's not Blathers. I'm just venting about Animal Crossing. It's okay though. You know, studios are gonna do what they're gonna do. You make your own explorations and experiments as you go. Large scale or small scale. And they're just experimenting with different layer properties. Because, I mean, like, it's useful to do that every once in a while, checking if making it an overlay or a hard light, a soft light is going to look better, because sometimes the colors just seem to work better in those different layer modes. So it's totally worth experimenting with those every once in a while. So that's something I like to keep in mind. And so interestingly, we have warm shadows. Oh, I erased it. I like the warm nose. Doing some slight edits in the lighting. I lied, now I'm just watching on the work computer. Hello there again. Nice to see you. We're almost the end now, so I guess I can reward you with some bad 3D animation. Ah, there we are. And that is the end. That is the workflow. And there's me trying to like resize it so you can see the whole picture. Alright, so now that we have reached the end of it, let me open that folder again. No. Okay. We have, what the heck is Bunny Video Bounce? That's MP3. Still render shots. Oh, I still have my Maya file. Hey, you. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. I could have sworn I actually showed the cat ball one too, actually. To be honest, I think I've shown this. Oh. I think I have shown you guys this animation before, where I had a bunch of still shots because my render failed and I couldn't have the whole entire thing render on time. You showed that just to me. The cat was super fun to make though, I gotta say. I enjoyed making this one just for the cat. Like the rest of this is obviously like I didn't care at all. But the cat I enjoyed making. Let me see, a cute cat. Well, let's get to the extra trashy super trash one. We have Gazebo Island, and we have the 3D rabbit. I don't think these have any animation in them. And these are just bad. They're just bad. Oh. I didn't realize it has music, so there's that. Like, I don't even think the rabbit's eyes even rendered there. Oh, maybe. And it just stops here, because again, that was another problem of not having my render, like it just crashed. We had that problem a lot in my college with Maya 2008 that we were using. It just crashed a lot when you were trying to render out your frames. So that's that one. The lighting's awful. I remember being really proud of myself at figuring out how to make the water look clear and nice, because that was something that I had to figure out by myself, and I really should have just Googled it. A lot of this stuff was just like our teacher told us to do something and we weren't really given much direction on how to accomplish it. Like the water, I don't even have a moving animation for a waterfall. It's just still image. It's just all bad. It's just all bad. So it sounds like an interesting way to learn with faulty programs and equipment, but I've been living that. I just keep doing it to myself, like the CK. I'm just like, hey, let's make some mods for Skyrim. A janky game engine with all these flaws in it, and then we're gonna use the program to make mods that's also really janky and horrible. This is my first one ever that I made in Maya. My first animation and my first 3D model. Oh, almost went underground, but I didn't. The lighting is just all dark and murky. And there's like the fireflies there, the static fireflies. They go underneath the trees. So there's that. And the flowers are floating on the ground. And the light also goes underneath the trees. And there's so many triangles there. I'm sure the UVs are a mess on this. But yeah. So that's that. That's my 3D stuff. Pretty uneventful. It's not as good as Mr. Fluffy Bum. That was your first one. Yeah, fair. Fair, I guess. Anyway, thank you guys for, I guess, yeah, staying to the end of the stream because it's extra long. I mean, I give myself credit, but I feel like we could have really made some cool, interesting stuff if we were actually taught better. Yeah. Mr. Fluffy Bum I did all by myself. But that was 2D art, so I could understand that better and play around with that better. The 3D programs were a huge learning curve, and we didn't really get too much in the way of actual teaching to get stuff done. But anyway, spread the word if you liked the stream, as always. It helps me out. Check out the Discord if you have not, and check out the events tab on the Twitch channel to know what we'll be streaming next. I'm actually kind of excited because it looks like Twitch updated the way they handle events. It's given me an option to add series, so I should be able to set it up this next coming week. And if it's a series like every Monday at 3 to 5, it'll just do that, and that'll be really great. I don't know whether I can input my own numbers. I don't know whether me starting a series will start at 1, because we haven't, it's not a new series. We've had like many episodes of lots of these streams that we've been doing, so I don't know what the limitations are. I might end up not being able to use it at all, but it is exciting to know that they're adding new features. I'm also disappointed because I immediately went on there and I quickly checked to see if it would allow me to say that it's starring me and another person, like the co-op streams that I do, like Lucky and Talented, where it would be Talented as well as me. They don't do that still. It's still only starring me, unfortunately, but baby steps. Baby steps. I'm looking for my first Maya thing. I hope my hard drive crash in March didn't kill it. Share it on the Discord. That'd be cool to see. Time to reboot all your streams. Start at season 1, episode 1. Maybe just. Maybe just. So yes, that is a thing to maybe look forward to. Maybe things will change. For you, for me, maybe not. We will see. If there's something that you liked or disliked about the stream, you can always give me a feedback on that, as usual, by clicking the Twitch info panel or on the Discord. And as always, from my art to yours, good luck!